There's this young lady, I just watched her video, and she talked about therapy right now and how she feels like most of the therapy is just people going to complain about how to not be horrible people to who they work with, right? Like how to better not be horrible people to the people that are around them, right? And the way that she made it sound is that it's not like people are coming up to you and telling you you're horrible. It's that it's that's what I gathered is that you're doing something terrible and you're like, why can't I help but be awful to these people? I find that very odd, right? Because one of the other things that I've heard also is that people are going to therapy to learn how to better manipulate people and whatnot, right? Like they're like, I'm going to therapy because I need how I need to learn how to better get somebody under my control. And it takes me back to one of my old jobs, right? And I remember going to therapy and talking about um, how I was feeling that a lot of the people at my job were awful to me, and it's just really not a nice place for me to be. And I'm like, I really want to leave. And I find it funny that now there's so many people, because I've heard people talk about this more than once, that there are people going to therapy learning how to better be a-holes, right? And I was like, so that's an option? That's an option? Because the therapist that I went to never gave me that option. Do you know what I mean? Like I would have loved to learn how to better be an asshole to the people that were assholes to me. Because you know what I feel like I got in therapy? I felt like, well, it's either all in your head or you just need to like learn how to like like for example, if I said that I don't like people raising their voice at me, well then you just need to learn how to not do things wrong so that people don't raise their voice at you, right? It's more and more about you as an individual controlling the situation so much, and it's not about, oh, you know it was so weird. And to me, I every time that happened, I end up leaving the therapist because I'm upset. I'm upset. I'm upset that you are my therapist. You are my therapist. I understand that we just met. This is our second or third session. I have never gone through I've never gone to one therapist for five sessions. It's always the first session, it's a meet or whatever. And then 2 or 3 sessions later, I'm like, this is not working out for me. Because they do it every single time. And I'm like, how is it that you are my therapist? You don't know who I am talking about. But somehow you know that I'm the problem in the issue. It doesn't matter what problem I bring to you. That has been my experience. And I've had, I want to say, 2 serious therapists that I went to. One was a man, another one was a woman. Otherwise, I've done like group therapy and stuff. And it's always the same thing too. In the group therapy, it's always the same thing. You need to take control for what's going on, blah, blah. Right? And in the group therapy, what I learned, especially when you take it as a sober thing, right, with the conjunction of also wanting to be sober, the reason they say that they don't believe you is because addicts are liars. But it's just, to me, it's so odd to me because I'm like, is this the normal mode for everybody? Because my mode, which is like I've had to like try to learn to overcome, is that the first person that comes to me and tells me, I'm gonna believe that person. Right? So I was like, am I so different from everyone? You're telling me that the most logical thing when you go to school, when you have a patient that comes to you and tells you about what's going on in their lives and how it's affecting their lives and making their lives difficult to live, is for you to say, you're probably lying. And we're just gonna go ahead and not believe you or not be on your side. Like, I could not believe it. I could not believe it. And I think it's one of the reasons why I stuck so much to spirituality, and why I love YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, talk therapy. Because it has helped me so much. I think that if I was still in traditional therapy, I would have relapsed by now. I would have relapsed by now. Listening to someone who's supposed to be on my side literally tell me, I believe the other person. I believe the other person. Because why does everybody hate you? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Can you teach me how to work with it? Right? Because I went to a different job. That job that I went to, it was a waitressing job. I went to a different job after that. I did waitressing job, and I did a job at a clinic. And I did a job at a call center. The way that those coworkers related to me and talked to me, again, I was never friends with them. They were just professionals. They were professionals. They weren't little latchies who saw that the owners and their daughter was a bully to me, so they thought that the way that they could get in was to also be a bully to me. They were cowards. I didn't have to experience that. And I wasn't any different. To be honest, I was more obnoxious, like, because I was growing into myself, right? Like, because I thought because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was because I was black. That's the only thing that came to me. And the funny thing is, I became blacker. That's what I thought it was, right? The funny thing is, even when I would stop going to a specific therapist, I wouldn't necessarily stop that mode of therapy that they talked to me about. I would just find like a free way to do it. Like, again, YouTube, university, something else. But I find that to be very, very interesting, that the therapists that I paid to go to, no matter what I was saying to them, whether it was the sobriety ones or the ones that didn't know anything about my drinking background, always, always, always said, if people don't like you, it's something that you're doing. And I'm like, okay, I'm here in front of you, right? And it's just odd to me. It's odd to me. Because here's the other thing too, right? In the general zeitgeist of things, like in just general life, when you have two people and the first person comes and tells you like an event that happened with them, you generally believe the first person events because that's the first thing that you heard. So it's odd to me that therapists that I'm going to are hearing from me, do not know who the fuck I'm talking about. And they said, just from your disposition, just from the way that you are, we believe them. And this is my disposition. This is my disposition. This is how I is, right? I am so afraid. I over explain things because I am so afraid that I'm leaving out details. I'm afraid that I am making the other person look bad by only making myself look good. So I will tell details about how, whatever. I'm that person. If you told me like, hey, what you said hurt my feelings, I was like, well, okay. Like, I'm not gonna take it back. I understand hurt feelings is a part of life. It was so odd because I felt like I was living in reality and everybody else was not. That's what it felt to me. And I was like, this cannot be. And I think it's why I drank so much. Because I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And this is, I think, it's one of the reasons why I really hate this town, Rochester, Minnesota. I just don't feel like the vibe of this city really is with me. You know what I mean? Like, I think the city is way too stagnant, and my energy doesn't vibe with that. My frequency doesn't vibe with that. Stagnicity. I don't know. Stagnousness. There's got to be a word for it. Yeah. It's very interesting, right? Because I'm like, I want them therapists. I want the therapists that are believing my delusions. How come I can't find them? Everybody else is finding them. So you're telling me that they're teaching men how to be better misogynists. They're teaching narcissists how to be better narcissists, psychopaths, all of that stuff. I come in with maybe ADHD, rejection sensitivity disorder, And you're making it worse by telling me, indeed, you are the problem. I have a degree. Blah, 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 blah. Like, it's just insane to me. And it's been my favorite thing, like, now. I still push therapy to a lot of people, but I'm like, you got to do a lot of your research. And I think I was talking to a cousin of mine a long time ago that had some sort of a disease, and I don't know. And I was like, I find it very odd that in the time of your life that you need the most amount of help, you're disorganized, like you're not thinking to your highest capability. That is the time that you are responsible for also finding the right appropriate type of help to help you out, right? Like, let's say you're going through a disease. You got to worry about like insurance, you got to worry about finding the right doctor, you got to worry about being in the right coverage area, blah blah blah. I am depressed. I don't you know what I mean? You're depressed, and now you got to find a therapist, and then you got to find the right type of therapist, because they maybe they went to school for depression, but they don't know how to deal with your specific type of depression. But even though they don't know, instead of just saying that, they are going to give you to the best of whatever their ability is. Ma'am, if I'm a CNA, I know that I don't need to be stepping in nurse territories. If like you don't work specifically with ADHD, if you don't work specifically with like complex trauma, blah blah blah, you don't work with psychopaths, blah blah blah. Like, why are you taking on just anybody and everybody? And I find it very funny because like, how come I'm the one who went to therapy and I got told that I'm the issue, and other people are going to therapy and being told how to better be the issue? Why was that not an option for me? I too would love to learn how to manipulate people. I mean, I did read Machiavelli when I was in high school, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this because I don't like it when it happens to me, right? I don't like it when it happens to me. So as soon, and that's the thing that you know what? I have never gone to any therapist who has told me to leave behind my abusive friends, boyfriends, or whatever, but they have always told me to leave my family, like my mother, my father. But they have never told me to leave my abusive boyfriend. They have never told me to leave my toxic ass friends. But they have always said, it's okay to leave your family. You don't need to actually be that close to them. I'm not saying that you can't. And I understand that this is like a black person thing, an immigrant person thing. But I don't understand how you say that as a therapist, because right now I am just an individual living on the internet. And I know that's a horrible advice to give anybody who's actually going through some shit. Right? Because I have never told them that I'm never allowed back in my family's household, but I have told them that I'm not allowed in my ex's house, and I'm not allowed. Why would I be just going to my friend's house? Right? So it's like, it's odd for you to tell me to leave that situation, right? But to not leave a precarious situation is fine. And I just think I think whatever common sense I still had to stay in to stay the course in therapy, but in a different way, right? And I think it's why it took me so long to go through the healing process. It took me so long because I was doing it by myself, and sometimes you get information that contradicts each other or whatnot. But try to find out who is actually telling you the truth and who's not telling you the truth. Like, for example, I heard earlier that the highest form of peace is not giving a shit about what other human beings think. No, the highest form is not giving a shit about human beings who are not good to you think. Right? If somebody's good to me and we are actually a good team, of course I care what they think, because they might actually help me. But somebody who always gives me bad advice, no. So you see, it's like that discernment of learning. I had to learn that on my own. Not a goddamn therapist taught me that. Maybe there were some online. but not a goddamn therapist that I paid money to, which is really fucking sad.